Thank you, Likang. Hi, everyone. So let me share my PPT. Okay. So today we'll be taking a look at metabolism. Before we begin, let's discuss on our last week's topic. So we talked about the differences between ester C and gummy C. Both look like vitamin C's, but because of their different components, we can pick which one to consume based on our circumstances. So if you have a stressful life, are active in exercising, smokes, or have certain acute or chronic health problems, ester C would be your perfect choice. And I would also often encourage those whose gums bleed easily, or people who are fighting with obesity or is diagnosed with uric acid, to consume on ester C. So these are some types of chronic health issues. Because people with these issues need larger amounts of antioxidants to help with the conditions. And lack of vitamin C is also one of the causes that leads to these conditions. And as for gummy C, they are in the form of gummies. And so it is suitable for a wider age range. Therefore, it is recommended for individuals who want to maintain their health from a young age, as it is easier for young people to consume. Of course, gummy C is not only suitable for kids and young people, but for adults and elderly people as well. So healthy or semi-healthy individuals can also replenish on gummy Cs. For individuals that requires on larger amount of zinc supplementation. So actually, zinc is a type of really important antioxidant. So perhaps you have anemia or skin problems or is recovering from injuries. You can all replenish on gummy C. And zinc can also help in young people or kids' development, because it can help form new protein and the DNA. So today, let us have a look at metabolism. What is metabolism? Many of you are probably thinking, oh, having a fast or slow metabolism would affect how much weight you gain. Well, actually, from a scientific point of view, metabolism is the set of chemical reactions in living cells that convert food into the energy that allows our body to function. So that's it converts our food into energy so that our body can function. And this is why we say that an individual with a fast metabolism would slim down quicker, because our body would use up the energy to function. However, actually, the speed of our metabolism, besides being able to boost it or speed it up. So basically, metabolism is your speed of how your body can use up the energy, can convert the energy. Actually, our bodies contains many different types of enzymes, and it would actually speed up the metabolism of our body. If we have a low enzyme activity, it will be unable to speed up the chemical action of our body, which in return weakens our metabolism. So let me give an example. We know that in our body, we have a lot of, in our stomach, we have a lot of enzymes, right? So in a normal circumstances, your stomach will have enzyme, and And your food can be dissolved, can be digested around 2 to 4 hours. But if you have really poor metabolism, weak enzyme, really low enzymes, it will take long days to actually break down the food. So this is why we say that enzymes can affect our metabolism. So those with weak metabolism would gain weight and get tired easily because our bodies is unable to convert our food into energy. And this is also why whenever we are tired or have no energy, we need to think about what we did to slow down our metabolism. As we mentioned earlier, having slow metabolism will lead to easy weight gain. Besides weight gain, there are other aspects that we will be concerned about. Sometimes it's because something went wrong with one's metabolism, which is also known as metabolic syndrome. There are some obvious symptoms for metabolic syndrome. For instance, slow metabolism can be seen physically, such as having a central obesity, where one's abdominal would be accumulated with more fat, but your limbs won't be as chubby. This can also be described as having an apple-shaped body. So how should we identify whether we have central obesity? Well, you can measure your waist and hip ratio and use your waist ratio to divide by, your hip ratio. So for males, if your result is greater than 0.9, or for females, if your result is greater than 0.8, this means that you have central obesity. And this is dangerous to your health because this means that your abdominal viscera is full of fat. Your abdominal viscera is full of fat. And the other symptoms of central obesity are high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol, and diabetes. So we have many different types of cholesterol. So like triglyceride and some others. So with these few symptoms, if you have these five symptoms, if you have 3 of them, it means that you have metabolic syndrome. And that's why we usually say that those with 3 highs have an unhealthy metabolism. And all these would really affect our health negatively. And it's not just about being obese. We mentioned earlier that having a poor metabolism is usually due to a lack of exercises. And of course, those with chronic stress. Because when we are stressed out, our brain would send out codes to the rest of our body, which makes our stress hormones decrease and slow down our body functions, such as our digestion. And all these happens when we are stressed or nervous. Another one is an imbalanced diet. When we have an imbalanced diet, we will be lacking on many nutrients that helps our cells to operate properly. As mentioned earlier, metabolism is actually the chemical reactions within our cells. And if we don't have any materials or components for it to function, such as nutrients, it is not possible for our metabolism to speed up. And lastly is when our enzyme activity is low or when it lacks enzyme catalyst. When that happens, our enzyme would slow down on its efficiency as well. Enzymes catalysts catalyze the chemical actions in our body, but actually the enzymes itself also needs something to catalyze them and that it functions. So now let's have a look at this diagram on the top right corner. The blue line represents a body having low catalyst. And in this situation, our body's chemical reactions would be slower as well. Now, the red line represents having more catalyst. And our metabolism and chemical reaction would function faster. So this is the difference in reaction of having more, less, or even no catalyst. So after understanding a few of these concepts, we can now have a better understanding on how we can improve our metabolism. So the first question, what is ZEnergy? And why is it known as the king of enzyme catalysts? So we've said before that catalyst means enzyme. It's the same thing. So what is it that, what is in ZEnergy that can help increase the levels of our enzymes or catalysts? So ZEnergy contains many natural components. In total, we had selected 65 different types of plants, 15 types of probiotic, and 3 types of prebiotic, and allowed them to ferment. So why do we say that these 65 types of plants have been carefully selected? It's because all 65 plants were planted in 4 different seasons. This includes spring, summer, fall, and winter. And there are also plants that can be found in the mountains and all the way to the ocean. Because in the mountains, there would be some wild plants or wildflowers. In the jungle, there might be other types of plants, or maybe plants from the ground, from underground, and algae from the ocean. So the 65 plants in ZEnergy are all part of these plants. And besides the different seasons and geography, these plants also comes from various botanical categories, such as algae, grains, vegetables, fruits, citrus, medicinal mushrooms, wild plants, and wildflowers. So this is why we say that these 65 plants have been carefully selected from different seasons, geographical location, and botanical categories, as they also contains different nutritional components. To sum up, they are very rich in having multiple types of nutrients. Another important point is that all these plants were harvested from Okayama, Japan. The place was nicknamed the Land of Sunshine, or the Fruit Kingdom, due to its clean, fresh air and fertile soil. This is why plants harvested from Okayama is rich in nutrients. As we mentioned earlier, ZEnergy is the fermentation of 65 types of plants, paired with 15 types of probiotic and 3 types of prebiotic. So the vital point to take note of is the fermentation period. ZEnergy has been fermented for 1,200 days in total. So why do we need to highlight the 1,200 days? This is because studies have shown that when fermentation reaches around 3 years and 3 months, the amount of antioxidant rises and it will stabilize after that point. And however, if fermentation process surpasses this duration to more than 4 years, nutrient content would degrade and deglide. So it's not about how long, it's not about the longer the fermentation, the better the product. It's not about that. So therefore, 1,200 days is the optimal fermentation period. It is also a natural fermentation period. Therefore, there's no heating or any chemical components added. And besides that, all 65 types of plants went through individual fermentation. And this is so that each plant can maintain its essence. And in return, this produces subtle components and maintains the essences from each plant. So second question, are there any studies related to the benefits of ZEnergy? Of course, ZEnergy has its own proprietary clinical studies conducted in collaboration with UPM's Institute of Bioscience and MARDI, the Malaysian Agricultural Research and Development Institute. So these two institutions conducted the ZEnergy's clinical studies together and found that after fermentation, ZEnergy offers high diversity of polyphenols, more than 16 types. So what are polyphenols? Actually, they are antioxidants, and each type of antioxidants has their own functions. And many studies have found that polyphenols actually assist in liver protection, prevention of obesity, inhibits abnormal cell growth. And this is why we brought up antioxidant, because antioxidants are beneficial to many aspects of our health. And besides finding that ZEnergy contains a lot of polyphenols, ZEnergy is also beneficial for our glucose metabolism, because findings states that ZEnergy can increase our body's usage of insulin. Many who can't control their sugar levels is mainly because their body isn't able to make use of insulin, which increases blood sugar levels in return. So with that, ZEnergy can help maintain our blood sugar levels. And second, ZEnergy also benefits in detoxification and liver protection because it can increase liver-related enzymes. And it can also help and boost the regeneration of liver cells. So because it helps us detoxify, which lessens the responsibilities of our liver. And thirdly, it also benefits our immunity. Studies found that it could increase our body's T cells. So T cells are a type of immune cells, and ZEnergy can boost the cell's activity as much as 77%. And besides that, ZEnergy also helps in our blood pressure and in lowering the fat accumulation in our body. All these problems that you see are usually related to the functions of metabolism. So last question, which group of people is ZEnergy most suitable for? As ZEnergy is fermented from natural plants and sources, so it's not necessary to only consume them when you're feeling ill or have a poor metabolism. ZEnergy is also for those who are healthy and semi-healthy, whether for kids, adults, or elderly. And, many expectant mothers would also consume ZEnergy. Because if you look at its components, you'll know that it contains many nutrients. So many expectant mothers had stated that consuming ZEnergy during their pregnancies had helped with some health conditions, such as morning sickness. And as it is really rich in nutrients, ZEnergy is very crucial for expectant mothers and the growth development of fetuses as well. As for elderly, everyone knows that as we get older, our body function would gradually degenerate, and therefore they are more prone to have these metabolic disorders. And as for adults, the stress they will get would also affect their metabolism. For children, their metabolism is usually all right, but the nutritional components in ZEnergy can further strengthen it and to absorb more antioxidants, vitamins, and subtle components. Because children usually have a weaker digestion. And as ZEnergy's components are subtle, absorbing these nutrients would be easier for both children and the elderly who have a slower absorption for nutrients. And after 1,200 days of fermentation, they started out as a whole plant. And after 6 months of fermentation, they become equivalent to the food that has been chewed. And 18 months later, it is equivalent to food that can be absorbed by our stomach. 30 months later, the fermentation is equivalent to food that can be absorbed by our intestines. So from our stomach to our intestines, we can only absorb really tiny components. And as the fermentation period reaches 42 months, the nutrients it contains are so subtle that it can even be absorbed by a fetus. And this indicates that after 1,200 days of fermentation, the volume of the nutrients are small and subtle, which makes it easy for all groups of people to consume and absorb, such as expectant mothers, children, and elderly people. That's it for my sharing. I hope that everyone had a deeper understanding of metabolism.